Well, here we are. And we've made it to the last chapter of Chuck. I certainly had the choice between trying to fart in jars and trap the farts in the jars and then open the jars up again and smelling them for the past few months to entertain myself, or recording this book. And I made my choice. And I'm still not entirely sure if I made the correct choice. But here we are, nearly at the end. It's best to finish what we've started. So, to those of you who have made it all this far, congratulations. You also can never have this time back. Chapter 49. Mobbed around Denny's castle are 1,000 people I can't remember, but who will never forget me. It's almost midnight. Stinking and orphaned, unemployed and unloved. I pick my way through the crowd until I get to Denny. Standing in the middle, I say, "Dude." Denny goes, "Dude," watching the mob of people holding rocks. He says, "You definitely should not be here right now." And after we were on TV all day, Denny says, all these smiling people, they keep turning up with rocks. Beautiful rocks. Rocks like you won't believe. Quarried granite and ashlar, basalt, dressed blocks of sandstone and limestone. They come one by one, bringing mortar and shovels and trowels. They all ask each of them, "Where's Victor?" This is so many people. They filled the block so nobody could get any work done. They all wanted to give me their stone in person. All these men and women, they've all been asking Denny and Beth if I'm okay. They say I look really terrible on television. And all it's going to take is one person to brag about being a hero, being a savior, and how he saved Victor Mancini's life in a restaurant. Saved my life. The term powder keg pretty much nails it. Out on the edge of things, some heroes got everybody talking. And even in the dark, you can see the revelation ripple through the crowd. It's the invisible line between people still smiling and people not. Between everybody who's still a hero and the people who know the truth. And everybody stripped of their proudest moment. They start looking around, all these people reduced from saviors to fools in an instant. And they're going a little nuts. "You need to scram, dude," Denny says. The crowd is so thick you can't see Denny's work. The columns, the walls, the statues, the stairways. And somebody shouts, "Where's Victor?" And someone else shouts, "Give us Victor Mancini." And for sure, I deserve this. A firing squad. My whole overextended family. And someone turns on the headlights of some car and I'm spotlighted against a wall. My shadow looming horrible over all of us. Me, the deluded little rube who thought you could ever earn enough, know enough, own enough, run fast enough, hide well enough, fuck enough. And between me and the headlights are the outlines of 1,000 faceless people. All the people who thought they loved me, who thought they'd given me back my life. The legend of their lives evaporated. And then one hand comes up with a rock and I close my eyes. From not breathing, the veins in my neck swell. My face gets red, it gets hot. Something thuds at my feet. A rock, another rock thuds, a dozen more, 100 more thuds. Rocks crash on the ground. The ground shakes, rocks crumble together around me, and everyone's shouting. It's the martyrdom of Saint Me. My eyes closed and watering. The headlights shine red through my eyelids, through my own flesh and blood. My eye juice. More thuds against the ground. The ground quakes and people scream with the effort. More shaking and crashing, more swearing, and then everything gets quiet. And to Denny I say, "Dude, Still with my eyes closed, I sniff and I say, "Tell me what's happening." And something soft and cotton and not very clean smelling closes around my nose, and Denny says, "Blow, dude." And then everybody's gone. Almost everybody. Denny's castle, the walls are pulled down. The rocks busted and rolled away from how hard they fell. The columns are toppled, the colonnades, the pedestals thrown over. The statues smashed. Busted rock and mortar. Rubble fills the courtyards, fills the fountains. Even the trees are splintered and flattened down under the fallen rock. The battered stairways lead to nowhere. Beth sits on a rock, looking at a busted statue that Denny made of her. Not how she looked for real, but how she looked to him, as beautiful as he thinks. Perfect. Busted now. I ask, "Earthquake?" And Denny says, "You're close, but this was some other kind of act of God." There wasn't one stone on top of another. Denny sniffs and says, "You smell like crap, dude." I'm not supposed to leave town until further notice, I tell him. The police asked me. Outlined in the headlights, just one last person, just a hunched black silhouette until the headlights veer off. The parked car drives away. In the moonlight we look, Denny and Beth and I, to see who's still there. It's Paige Marshall, her white lab coat smudged and the sleeves rolled up, the plastic bracelet around her wrist. Her deck shoes are wet and squishing. Denny steps forward and tells her, "I'm sorry, but there's been a gross misunderstanding." And I tell him, no, it's cool. That it's not what he thinks. Paige steps closer and says, "Well, I'm still here." Her black hair is all undone, the little black brain of her bun. Her eyes all swollen and red all around them. She sniffs and shrugs and says, "I guess that means I'm insane." And we all look down at the scattered rocks, just some brown lumps of nothing special. One leg of my pants is wet with shit and still sticking to my leg on the inside, and I say, "I guess I'm not saving anybody." "Yeah, well." Paige holds up her hand and says, "Do you think you can get this bracelet off me?" And I say, Yeah, we can try." And Denny is kicking through the fallen rock, rolling rocks with his foot until he stoops to pick one up, and then Beth goes to help him. Paige and I just look at each other, at who each other is for the first time. We can spend our lives letting the world tell us who we are, sane or insane, saints or sex addicts, heroes or victims, letting history tell us how good or bad we are, letting our past decide our future, or we can decide for ourselves. And maybe it's our job to invent something better. In the trees, a mourning dove calls. It must be midnight. And Denny says, "Hey, we could use some help here." And Paige goes, and I go, and the four of us dig with our hands under the edge of the rock. And in the dark, the feeling is rough and cold, and it takes forever. All of us together, we struggle just to put one rock on top of another. "You know that ancient Greek girl," Paige says, "who drew the outline of her lost lover?" I say. "Yeah." And she says, "You know that eventually she forgot him, and she invented wallpaper." It's creepy, but here we are, the pilgrims, the crackpots of our time, trying to establish our own alternate reality, to build a world out of rocks and chaos. What it's going to be? I don't know. Even after all that rushing around, where we've ended up is the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night. And maybe knowing isn't the point. Where we're standing right now, in the ruins, in the dark, what we build could be anything. And that's that. Good luck, everyone. And good night.